Oh, okay. So, hi everybody. Welcome back to the Inspired by series. Apologize for the delay this week. We're still learning. We're still trying to figure out different ways to come up more efficiently, and we appreciate your patience. So thank you so much for all of that. I would like to welcome all of you back. This is our fourth week with Annie Unrein from ByAnnie.com, and we're excited to have you all back. So I see that there are some hearts and some thumbs up, so thank you for that. That way we know we're definitely live. So welcome back, Annie.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I'm really excited to be here. This has been so much fun to be part of this series. And it was really fun to get together last week to show everybody how easy it is to put in zippers. I hope that I helped dispel some zipper phobia and that you all had some time to practice this week on a project or two. I've enjoyed reading all the comments from viewers, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time to share your thoughts and your questions. Before we get started with today's tutorials, there was one question last week that a lot of people asked, so I thought I would share the answer with the whole group. And the question they wanted to know was, what needle do I use when I sew on mesh or vinyl? And really, this is a really easy answer because I basically use the very same needle no matter what I'm sewing. And that is a 90-14 top stitch needle. So I use it when I'm quilting, when I'm assembling on the project, when I'm sewing with fabric, soft and stable, mesh, vinyl, fold over elastic, everything. Here's what I love about a top stitch needle, and I'm going to try and get this so Jake can see it. First of all, it has a really sturdy, strong shank. And there is a groove down the shank. You probably aren't going to be able to see that because I actually can't hardly see it either. But there's a groove down the shank that the thread rests in. And that really helps prevent the thread from fraying and shredding when you're doing a whole lot of stitching. The thing that I love best about this needle is that the eye on it is about twice as big as the eye on a regular needle. And that makes it so much easier to thread the needle. It also helps prevent fraying and shredding of thread. I normally sew using Superior Threads Sew Fine 50 thread, which is a 50 weight polyester. So I could get by with a smaller size, like an 80-12. We stock these needles in 70, 80, 90, and 100, but the 90-12 is definitely the one I use the most. So there was also a question about what stitch length do I use when I'm sewing on vinyl. I do the vast majority of my sewing with a 2.5 inch or number 2.5, not inch, but 2.5 stitch length, even when I'm sewing on mesh and vinyl. Someone also asked if I could talk a little bit about installing magnets today. So if there's time at the end, I'll add a little demo for that too. So if you have any questions, be sure to ask them as we go through the demos today. If we aren't able to answer them all during this show, we'll do our best to get back to you afterwards or cover them in a future Facebook Live demo. So thanks again to everyone for joining us and sharing your comments and questions. To say thank you, I know we've got some fun giveaway winners to announce. Sharon, do you want to tell everybody who this week's lucky winners are?
Yes, I would love to do that. So thank you, Annie. Welcome back, everybody. I know we were a little late starting this week, so we apologize for that. We are still trying to work out some of the technical difficulties, if you will. So we appreciate your patience. By the time we're well underway, hopefully very soon, we will come up promptly at 3. So welcome to our Inspired By series. We are in week 4. With ByAnnie, Annie Unrein from ByAnnie.com, and we are FreeSpirit Fabrics, as many of you know, and you can find us at FreeSpiritFabrics.com, and our fabrics can be purchased at your local quilt retailer. So this week we have some winners. Last week we did Zippers Are Easy, so this week we're doing Carry On series. Learning how to do straps, but last week we learned how to do Zippers Are Easy, and Annie, you did have some wonderful tips for all of us, so thank you for that. I had to re-watch many steps there, but I learned plenty, so you had plenty of information to share. So this week we have Clam Up. There was a winner for that, and that person, Annie, would you like to show the pattern first and then I'll show the fabrics, or?
I don't have the ones from last week. I just have the ones for next week. So
Okay, that's okay.
I was
have the
thinking
other
that you would
ones.
just say who the winners were.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Hold on,
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I have them right here. I just wasn't sure. So here's the clam up pattern. And these are the fabrics that you're winning. These beautiful Tula Pink. These are true colors designed by Tula Pink, and they are shipping in June to your local quilt retailer. So you can see all those beautiful fabrics. Those are the ones that are going with Clam Up, and the winner is Kathy Healy. And the next one, congratulations, Kathy. The next one is Pocket Packers right here. And they won these beautiful cape fabrics. These are delivering in August of this year, 2020, and gorgeous fabrics here as well to make that project. So when you receive these, you will be receiving the kit with all of the fabric. And the last, and that winner was, I'm sorry, Pocket Packers is Marianne Adams. So congratulations to Marianne. And the last winner is Back at You. So here's the pattern and zips and everything that you need to make these projects. Thank you, Annie. And this fabric is, this is Calico Horses, and this is by Lorraine Turner. And this fabric is delivering this month. So gorgeous, gorgeous fabrics. Up, the horses are upside down. There are your horses. You got the horse tail and some beautiful lupins for that. And that winner is an Instagram winner, and that is Busy Learner. So Kathy Healy, Marianne Adams, and our Instagram winner, Busy Learner, are lucky winners this week. So please send us a message and let us know your mailing address or shipping address that you'd like to send it to. So thank you so much, Annie. And I'm sure our winners are very, very excited. And we have people tuning in from everywhere. And let me see, beautiful fabrics. They see everything. Someone's coming in from Oklahoma and Wyoming and all over the place. So thank you, everybody, for commenting. We love to hear where you're from. So I'd like to turn it over to Annie. Annie, if you would like to, start us off with this week's Carry On, teaching us how to do beautiful straps for our bags.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Sharon, and congratulations to all the winners. Those are going to be some fun projects, and I can't wait to see them when they're made. I am really excited to be here again today, and today I want to share techniques for making handles and straps. You are going to love how quick and easy it is to make strong and sturdy handles and straps that perfectly coordinate with your projects. We're also going to talk about adding hardware to those handles and straps, how to attach them to the bag, and how to make an adjustable detachable strap. So let's get started. As we mentioned in our previous colorful coordinates episode, we discovered long ago that it could be really difficult to find strapping or webbing to match our projects. Even in a town with 10 fabric and quilt shops, I discovered that I could find black, white, navy, beige, and a few other neutrals. But if I wanted rust with purple polka dots to match my bag, I was out of luck. So we decided that the simplest solution was to make our straps and handles using fabric that matched our project. However, we needed a way to strengthen and support those handles so they would stand up to the wear and tear that a handle is going to get. Those are the techniques that I will share with you today. Let's start by walking through the method that we use the most often, and that is making a fabric tube into which we can insert polypro strapping. Any by any pattern that includes handles and straps will give you complete instructions for what to cut. It will also give you some helpful labels so that you can label each piece as you go. This makes it so much easier when it comes time to prepare the components, because you'll know exactly which ones are the carrying strap tabs, which ones are the handles, which are the carrying straps. I'm working right now on preparing the pieces for a get out of town bag. I've got this fun little bag that we made using Tula's Caddy Road. and I think it's time for a new one. So I'm going to make one with the homemade series so that I can use it when I go to a class or retreat to carry all my supplies. So we're first going to talk about the carrying strap tabs. And these are used on each end of the bag for the triangle or D rings that are attached to the side of the bag. And so you've got one on each end, and then you use those tabs to attach your carrying strap. So the first step when you're ready to do this is to take your pieces. I've done a little of the sewing since I'm not able to sew on here. Hopefully we can get the camera on there and you can see that well. But the first step is to fold each of those strap tabs in half with the right sides together and align the long raw edges. Then you're going to stitch right along that long edge of each of these with an accurate 1/4 inch seam. This is one of those times when the accuracy of your seam is really important. If your seam's too wide, the tube's not going to be large enough to pull the strapping through. If your seam's too narrow, the tube will be larger than the strapping and you'll get wrinkles in the strap. Here's an example of a handle where that happened. And that just doesn't look very good, does it? You get a lot of wrinkles in there because you have more fabric than you do strapping. So you really want to make sure that you're doing an accurate seam. The time that I find that people have the most trouble is if they're quilters who are used to sewing a scant 1/4 inch seam. And so make sure you make it a little bit bigger so that you have a really accurate seam. Once that's done, you're going to press that seam open, and then we're going to turn the tube right side out. We have a really simple turning tool. This is called a quick turn tool. These come in a package with 3 different sizes. This is the largest one, and it's the one I use most often. So we're going to use it. We're going to insert it. It comes with 2 pieces, kind of a plastic tube and then a wooden plunger. But we're going to take the plastic tube and slide it into our strap that we want to turn. And I like to leave about 2 to 3 inches hanging out on the end because I'm going to use this, this plunger to push the fabric through. If I don't have enough fabric here and I start pushing, what happens is the stick just goes through the tube and the fabric doesn't, and so I lose it. So I need to have enough fabric out here to really have something for my wooden plunger to catch on. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to push on the fabric, and then I just use the wooden plunger to push it through. And then I can take my fingers, use them on here, use that to push off on that end, use the plunger to push it out the rest of the way. And I've got my tube turned. Isn't that simple and easy? And it works really well on short ones, long ones, all of them. The trick if you're doing a really long one is that as you have to kind of move it as you go. As it starts coming out and you've got fabric on here, make sure you hold on to this as you move this down so that it doesn't, so that your stick doesn't go through your tube. Once the tube is turned right side out, then we're going to center the seam right on the middle of the back and press it again. And then we can insert some strapping into the tube. This one's not going to be pressed, but you're going to get the general idea. So you've got your strapping cut to the size that the pattern directs. And then I like to use a bodkin for attaching my strapping. So I'm going to take the bodkin. This is one made by Clover. It's called a clip and glide bodkin. And we really like how easy it works. It's got little kind of alligator teeth here that really hold on to your strapping and keep it from coming loose. So just clamp that on, and the nice thing is this clamps and doesn't come undone. And then I usually take my fingers and kind of fold this over so that it's narrow enough that I can get it into my tube. So I'm going to get that going in there, and then it's just a simple as matter of using the bodkin and pulling down on the fabric. You can grab it and using that to pull your strapping through. Now, depending on how the piece is going to be attached to the bag, you might leave the ends unfinished, as I've done here. I keep losing my earbuds today, so I may not be able to hear you when you talk, Sharon, but
I can hear you.
Okay. So long as you can hear me, that's the important thing. All right, so I'm going to leave these just raw, and you'll notice that, well, you probably can't notice, but my strapping ends about 1 inch from the end on each. The reason for that is that when I attach it to the bag, it's going to be caught in this seam down here. And I've got enough bulk here already without having strapping, 2 layers of strapping down there too. So where you really need the strapping is up here where the hardware is attached. So by making it a little bit shorter, I've got the strength of it where it's needed, but not the bulk in the seam. So on there, I don't have to turn the ends under because they're caught in the seam. But if I'm doing a handle or a carrying strap that's just attached loosely to the bag, on that I need to finish the ends. So I'm going to show you both of those. So on this one, again, I left the edges raw. On this one, which is going to be the carrying strap for my bag, I need to turn the ends under. So I've let my fabric extend about 1/2 inch beyond my strapping. And I'm going to take the side that does not have the seam in it, and I'm just going to fold it over so it's against my strapping and get it nice and even. And then I'm going to fold the back part under. And then I find it's really helpful to have a stiletto to kind of maneuver the fabric where it needs to be to make sure there's not any wrinkles, get it all nice and straight. And then I usually put a little wonder clip on each end and take it to my sewing machine. So the pattern's going to give you instructions for how you need to finish the ends depending on what pattern you're doing. Again, on the one we're making, we don't, so we'll just do that. All right, so after you've got your ends turned under or not, then you're just going to sew 1/8 of an inch from the edge all the way around this. Okay, if I do that, I usually use my number 37 foot and I align the fabric up even with the edge of my fabric. Another foot that is really helpful is if you have like an edge stitch foot. On my Bernina, I use the number 10. It has a little guide that goes along the side and it lets you stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge all the way along here and keep a nice even stitch. Let me give you one other tip, and that's for like making a long carrying strap. When you do a long carrying strap that you want to have long enough for wearing it crossbody, you have to join a couple pieces of fabric. And when you do that, I usually sew those with a 1/2 inch seam and press the seam open. And what we were finding when we started doing straps like that is that as we made our fabric tube and turned it right side out, when we would go to pull the strapping in, all too often our bodkin or our strapping would get caught underneath there, and we'd have to, maneuver to try to get through where the seam was, or we'd end up with it folded over and then we'd have a big lump there. So we just discovered or figured out that if you just sew about 1/8 of an inch along the edge of that seam allowance on each side, then it's going to hold it down and you're not going to have that problem. So you're not going to really notice that on the other side, that little bit of stitching once your whole strap is done, and it just saves a whole lot of frustration when you go to make the straps. So we've talked about making the fabric tubes, inserting the strapping, and stitching around the edges. Pretty easy so far, don't you think, Sharon?
I do. You make it look easy. I don't know if it really is. But I love the tips that you have shared with us. Honestly, I've never seen the tube and the plunger method used before. I mean, I'm usually using a safety pin and trying to jam everything in, down a tube when I'm trying to do it. So love that. And I also had never seen a bodkin. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, bodkin. Yeah,
bodkin.
That turning tool and bodkin make all the difference in the world for making straps and handles.
Yes, absolutely. So those are fantastic tips. I'm sitting here in awe saying, okay, she's just making that look too easy. So thank you for all those tips, Annie. That's awesome. So we have a lot of viewers today, and we'd like to welcome everybody back to our Inspired By series. Today we're here with Annie Unrein, and she is byannie.com, and we are FreeSpiritFabrics.com if you'd like to come to our website to look at our beautiful fabrics. And our fabrics are sold in your local quilt stores. So please, reach out to them or look for your local quilt store. Look for them online. You'll find many of our retailers are online as well, and you can find Free Spirit Fabrics there. There are some people that are talking about the bodkin. They're asking about foot zipper, oh, well, not zipper feet, machine feet. And I know that you've answered that already, Annie, and you've also talked about the needles. There still seem to be some questions about needles. They're saying they need a bodkin. Dawn King says that she's used one before, but she likes that one. We have a hello from Norway. Everybody likes the tips. I can't say the person's name. I don't want to say her name improperly, but she's here from Norway. So thank you everybody for tuning. I know. So thank you everybody for tuning in. And I also wanted to talk about the quilt that's behind me this week. I meant to do that when we first got on. This is a quilt that is made with our K-Facet shot cotton solids and our shot cotton stripes. And this is called Rosita Zigzag, and it is made by Liza Lucy. And you can find the pattern in Simple Shapes Spectacular Quilts. So if you are interested in the pattern for that, that's where you can find it. And I love this. This is beautiful, beautiful quilt. And what I think so interesting about it is that the stripes are in there so subtly that you don't even really realize that there's a shot stripe in there. So anyways, Annie, do you have any other tips and tricks that you would like to share with us regarding handles?
I do have a couple other tips. One of the other methods that we use involves interfacing, and we also have one that involves soft and stable. So let's talk first about the interfacing method. And that's what we've done on these little project bags and on these pocket packers. On these, you don't need the strength of all the strapping in there. And one thing that we like about doing it with interfacing is that the fabric's folded in fourth, so there's no seam anywhere. And so whether you're looking at the handle this way or that way, it's perfect both ways. So for making straps using interfacing, we begin by cutting the strap according to the directions in the pattern, which basically we cut it the length that we want and 4 times whatever we want the finished width to be. And then we fuse a piece of interfacing to the back of the strap. We use Shapeflex 101. That's our preferred fusible interfacing. We have had quite a run on that over the past 2 weeks, but few weeks, not 2, but we do have it back in stock. So if you need some of that, be sure and get it at byannie.com. After we've got that fused, then we're going to start folding it. And the first thing we're going to do is fold it in half, bringing the raw edges together. Our right sides are out, and we're going to press that to create a nice crease right here along the center. Then we're going to bring each of the raw edges into that center crease and press it again, which basically divides it into 4. Then we'll fold the strip in half, making a 1-inch wide strip, and stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge all the way around. So that's really, really easy to do. And again, to make that stitching really accurate, as we discussed earlier, an edge stitch foot works really well. I just move my needle over. I meant to have one here with me and I forgot to grab it this morning. So you're just gonna have to look in your things. In the Bernina, it's the number 10, and it has a guide that goes along the edge, and you can move the needle. I move mine all the way to the left, and then I can just use the guide to stitch right along the edges. And I do stitch all the way around these handles, even along the raw edges. And again, you'll note that these edges are just raw. I didn't have to do anything to finish those because they're going to be sewn into the edge of the bag and covered with binding when we're done. I used a similar technique to that when I made this catch-all caddy. Let's see if I can move it over so you can see it. So this is a catch-all caddy. I did the handles similar, but on these I put soft and stable instead of interfacing into the part of the handle that's at the top to give it a little bit of extra padding. And since the ends of these handles are going to be visible, the first thing you're going to do is turn under the short ends and press it so you have finished ends on each side. And then the process is very much the same. So I've got one here mostly ready to go. This is one actually for the smaller end control. So this is a little bit smaller than that handle, but same process. So again, I've cut my handle according to the directions in the pattern. I've turned under a 1/4 inch on each end to finish those ends, and then I did the very same thing, folded it in half, pressed it, brought my raw edges into the center, pressed, and now we're going to put the soft and stable inside. So I just open this bottom fold. I've cut my soft and stable a little bit narrower than this, and the pattern will tell you exactly what to cut, and I'm going to lay it in there. I want it to end where my fabric is turned over, so a lot of times I have to trim a little bit off of this end. I don't know, even though it's cut at what the size is, somehow those things just stretch. And so I trim it so that it stops and it's not hanging out the ends. Then I fold my bottom edge over my soft and stable, fold that up over that, put some wonder clips along there all the way, and then I stitch all the way around those edges to secure it. To make this handle easier to grab, we're also going to fold over a little portion in the middle and stitch it together. That leaves the ends open so that we can attach them in the hardware. And to do that, I've already made my 4 tabs. So these little tabs get attached to the bag, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But I've got 2 of them ready to go. And I just take the ends of my handle, insert them into there, fold them over, and the pattern will tell you to mark a line here so that you know you get them lined up, and that way when you make your bag, your handles are the same size on each side. But we're going to take this one, put it in here. The important thing here is making sure that you've got it right side up, and the pattern will give you more instructions for that. But I put those together. Oops. And there I've got my, well, it looks like I twisted it. Oh no, there we go. And there's my handle ready to go for that. So we've talked about making the handles using fabric reinforced by strapping. We've talked about making simple straps using fabric and interfacing. And we've talked about making padded handles using soft and stable. As you can see, it's really easy to make custom handles and straps for your bags. Back to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Annie. I love all those tips and techniques that you've taught us today. I especially love that last one that you were showing where you folded the handle in half again. I love that because then you don't have too much bulk in your hand either. And very, very wonderful tips and techniques here. Love the tips for the sewing feet and, you know, all the tools and everything that you're showing us this week. So thank you for all of that. Would like to welcome everybody back this week. If you are just joining us, I can see that some people are just coming in and they're saying that they love the series. So thank you. We love our series too. We love having Annie here with us. This is week 4 with Annie, and she's showing us how to do the carry handles for your bags when you make any of them. I want to let everybody know that if you are tuning in a little bit later, that these are going to continue to be on our Facebook page, so you can tune back in later on and you can rewatch it. So don't feel like you've missed anything. You can always go back and keep watching. I also wanted to thank everybody for being here. And I was going to say something else and I've forgotten now. Isn't that the way? Let me see. We have Havana here from Connecticut. Maureen loves all the practical tips. Oh, somebody said that you and I rock, Annie. Thank you. So love all the positive feedback. Thank you, everybody. Keep sending us hearts and thumbs up so that we know that you love this. And I know that I do, Annie. I'm definitely learning from you. So this is awesome. I want to take a class. Are you going to come to North Carolina anytime soon?
I'd love to. Let's figure it out.
I know. We'd love to have you here. So I wanted to ask you, let me see. All right. So yes, I have my questions ready. So how do these handles and the straps attach to the bag? Can you share some tips on that?
I would love to share some tips on that. There are really several ways that the straps and handles can be attached, and all of our patterns obviously are going to tell you exactly what to do for each of them, but let's look at some of the options. So on these bags, the handles are just sewn in place. You don't need any special hardware. So on Easy Does It, you're making this little side strip, which is attached to your zipper strip, and you're just going to sew it across the ends, and it's attached in the seam when you bind it. Case in point is another one. This is the case in point that I made with homemade fabric. This is to carry your knitting and crochet and things. And on this one, again, no hardware. We just attach. So this is the back or front or back of the bag, the body. We sew the handle to that. The pocket gets sewn over it, and that handle's ready to go. On this running with scissors, there's just a simple little handle at the top. And on here, we've actually done a double layer because we want that when we carry the bag, our bag is really sturdy and strong. So we put a little stabilizer underneath, and then we put the handle on top. And you'll see we use some fun Renaissance ribbons to really enhance this handle that's shown on the top. So that's, we cut this one a little bit bigger so that you've got room to get your handle in there or your hand in there and carry it. But those are all really simple ways to do handles. On this Glow and Go, we want it to be able to open our makeup bag, but then close it so that everything's safe and secure when we travel. So on here, we attached the handle so that it goes across the bag. It's sewn in place in what becomes the back, but on the right side, it's loose, and we added a little wide mouth slider on here. And then this side is completely loose. So when we close the bag, we're able to take this side and take the end, which again, we've turned under so it's finished. On this bag, we leave one end raw because it's hidden in here. The other end we finish, but then that goes in there and you're able to close your bag nice and securely. On some of our bags, we just attach the handles to rectangle rings. So let me grab these. So on our backpacks, we've got a slider that we've put on the strap so it's adjustable, but then we have little tabs that we put at the bottom that we have rectangle rings attached to, and those attach to the bag. And when you are ready to finish the bag, you bring your handle from up above, put it through there, and that enables you to adjust the length. We did rectangle rings also on our round trip duffel. This is a bag that we made with seeds and stems from Kathy Dowdy. This is the travel bag that I usually carry when I go. I can fit everything in it, and I just love the size of it. But on here, we've attached very similar to what we did on the in control handles, except that we use strapping here rather than soft and stable. But we attach the rectangle rings to tabs, which are sewn to our bag, and then we attach the handle at the top. The beauty of this is that if the handles wear out, which sometimes happen, usually that's the part of your bag that gets the most wear and tear. If you save some extra fabric, you can always replace this, you know, without having to make your whole bag over. So we do something similar to that on the Get Out of, or the Divide and Conquer. Again, the tabs here are covered with pockets, and we added sliders on those so they could be adjustable, but those are really fun. Padded handles attached to the rectangle rings. Again, we did on the Catch-All Caddy. We also did that on the little In Control, which is the very same thing. It's on the back of the shelf with me. And then on our bigger travel bags, we have several things that we do. We have handles on the front and back that are just quick grab handles, and these we just sew in place. Then we have a detachable carrying strap, and on that we attach the tabs to the body, and then we can hook those. And I actually have some step outs that I made so I can kind of show you how those work. So here's pieces cut ready to go for a little In Control bag, and that's the one that I made the padded handles. So this is the front of the bag, and I've marked some lines. One thing that Biani patterns do, we try to do everything while it's a square or a rectangle, and we don't start shaping it until everything's attached, because it's way easier to mark lines and attach pieces when they're rectangles. So this just lines up right inside those lines that we've marked, and then we'll stitch this in place. You'll notice that I've got some little lines marked on here. We found that when we sew straps and handles on, if we can sew an X, we make it stronger. So when I go to sew these handles on, I'm going to sew across the bottom. I'm going to come up to this top marked line. I'm going to stitch across it. I'm going to go down to that marked line, stitch across it. In the process of doing that, I create a little box. And then from here, I'm going to stitch an X. So I'm going to go up diagonally to this corner, back across this line diagonally to that corner, and then I'll finish stitching down. So my strap or handle is sewn in really securely. And then when I go to assemble my bag, my pocket's going to go on top of that, and all of that's going to be hidden underneath. This is the end ready to go for my little get out of town bag that I showed you earlier. So I need to find what I did with those strap tabs for that. So here I've got my strap tab ready to go. I don't have a piece of hardware on here, but I'll put a D-ring or a triangle ring on here. Again, I've marked my line. I'll line that up along there. I'll mark lines on here so I can stitch my X. I'll stitch that in place, and then my pocket goes on top of that. And then these corners get rounded, it gets sewn into the bag. Here are pieces ready to go for an ultimate travel, which is like this bag. So you're going to see you've got a side strip here that forms the sides and the bottom of your bag, and then you have a zipper strip at the top that you attach to make a loop. So here's what the side strip looks like before I start. And I've got lines that I've marked so that I can attach my straps. I've got to figure out where I just brought one. So I've got one on here. So I've sewn that in place between or along the marked lines that I did. You can see the little X that I've sewn here. So I gave that to be really strong and secure. And then when I attach my pocket on here, this is going to have a binding on it, but I'll align it along here, sew it with a seam, fold it up, and then my pocket again will cover that. And when I get my whole bag together, that becomes the sides and the bottom of my bag. So they're all really simple and easy to do. Again, you follow the directions in the pattern. One thing about by Annie patterns is we put little check marks by each step. So if you're working on something and get interrupted, you know, so long as you've kept track as you've gone, you always know right where to go back. But simple, easy processes. And don't forget, we've got lots of videos that go with our patterns too. So you've always got some good help.
Yes, that's awesome, Annie. Before you move anything, could you show us those cave bags again that are there to your left?
Yes, I would love to show you those bags.
Yeah, a lot of our viewers today are commenting on the ultimate travel bag.
Yeah,
loving
so
that.
This is kind of the little sister to Ultimate Travel. This is called Bow Me Over, and it's got the little magnetic flap on the front, or front, a pocket here, pocket on the back. And then inside, it's got a bunch of stuff, but there's a mesh pocket that zips and a vinyl or a slip pocket with fold over elastic on this side. So we did one out of mesh and one out of fabric. This is the big sister to that. So this is called Ultimate Travel. And we had fun doing this one. We kind of combined a bunch of different fabrics. So we made the front and back out of this pretty floral. And then we took did you say these are watermelons?
Yes, those are watermelons.
We did the watermelons for the pockets, and we did a different fabric for the sides. So we just mixed this up a lot, and then we did this really fun zigzag, or yes, I'm not sure what you call that, but we did that for the handles and straps. So this bag also has let's see if I can fold it so you can see it, a zippered mesh pocket that goes all the way up and down one side, and then on the other side a slip pocket.
Wow. So yes,
very
useful.
That is a fabulous bag to carry when you travel.
Yes, that's awesome. And that's all K-Facet fabrics. You guys did a beautiful job coordinating all of that together. So those fabrics will be delivering in August. So Annie got our sample yardage to make that. So that get to see how pretty those are together. So thank you, Annie, for all those tips so far. You do make it look very easy. And I love that you have the little check marks in the patterns along the way, because you're right. You know, otherwise I find myself going back to the pattern now. Where was I? Check, check, check. So that's awesome that you do all of that for us. Just want to let the viewers know that we have people that are on from FreeSpirit. Nancy is on from FreeSpirit, and she's answering any questions that she can for us. And Annie also has people on answering questions for them as well. And I also see Leslie's out there answering questions. So if you have any questions, we are trying to answer them as best we can. And we will go back in afterwards if we've missed any, and we will try to answer your questions afterwards as well. And these videos will be posted to our website afterwards. They will be on Instagram, and they will also make it to, where are we going? Where else are we going, Annie? With
YouTube.
These? YouTube, thank you. Lot to remember
I know that
here.
feeling.
So
who am I and where am I?
Right, exactly. So we have it post. We will have all of these posted. A lot of people are asking about the tools that you were using, Annie. All those tools earlier that you were showing, those are available on your website. Is that correct?
Most of those tools are available on our website. The quick turn tool is, and again, it comes with 3 sizes. The stiletto, which I would not sew without, is available on our website. We do not have the bodkin on our website. We've recently moved into a much bigger area, and we're going to have more room for products and things. But for the past 2 or 3 years, we've been totally out of space, and so we haven't been able to add any new products. We're actually working on something that we think is going to be a great alternative to this. We've got some really good things coming in the future. So we probably won't carry this, but it's called a clip and glide bodkin, and it's made by Clover. Ask at your local quilt shop. If they don't have it, they can certainly get it for you, and it's a really good one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you for all of those tool tips and tricks for the handles, and all the tips that you've shown us today. They're excellent, and I know the viewers are really enjoying it. Let me see. I'm trying to read. Let me see. What pattern would you suggest for me making a bag to give to her mom with all her bits? Then the comment just went away, so I can't see it. So someone's asking about a bag that they would like to give their mom, probably for a bunch of little things to store. Do you have a recommendation on that?
A bag for her to store lots of little things?
Yeah, a lot of little bits. I have a feeling she's from England or Australia with the way she asked about the bits.
Bits, yeah. The case in point for somebody who knits or crochets it is nice, but it would also be a good one, no matter what you're going to carry, because it zips open, lays flat. You can customize these pockets. The pattern includes instructions for putting your knitting needles or your crochet hooks in here. But if you weren't going to do that, you could just divide that pocket in half to put things in there. And then it's got this little removable page that has mesh pockets on one side and zippered pockets on the other side. And then there's pockets on the outside, a slip pocket in the back and a zippered pocket in the front. So that's a really fun one for putting lots of stuff in. Also, the pocket packers, those are one of my favorites because they're so simple and easy to make. The pattern includes 4 different styles, but you've got lots of versions that you can do on your pockets. You can divide some of the pockets in half if you want to. They've got lots of pockets on the front and then also on the back, a full mesh pocket that gives you lots of room. The project bags are another fun one for lots of little things. Running with scissors is ideal for all your little sewing supplies because you've got just lots and lots of pockets and things to put things in. And again, depending on what you put in here, one of my employees does a lot of makeup, and she does it for the kids at the performing arts school. And so she designed one of these that she can keep all her makeup and her makeup brushes and things in. So there's just so many ways that you can use these.
Yes, you have so many different ways that you could do it. Annie, is there a particular bag that you would recommend for someone that has small children? Like maybe a diaper bag type bag?
A diaper bag, the Ultimate Travel, which I showed you, a lot of people make that as a diaper bag. We also have a pattern called Every Day, Every Way that I specifically designed as a diaper bag. It's the one that I made for my daughter when she had a baby. And the great thing about it is there's several different ways you can carry it. So you can carry it as a backpack, you can put a crossbody strap on it, you can put stroller straps on it, and then it has quick grab handles that are kind of like these, so they're padded. And that's a really nice one. It's got pockets inside that expand for baby bottles and diapers and things. It's a great bag.
Yes, I think you showed that to us a few weeks ago. Now that you're describing it, I think you showed it to us the first week.
Yeah,
so
I'm not actually sure that I've made one of those with FreeSpirit, so I'm not sure, but you can find it on our website for sure. It's every day, every way.
That sounds awesome. Thank you so much. So Annie, were you going to tell us, I'm not sure if I'm in the right place, what were you going to move to now? The long
I was
strap?
going to show you how to make an adjustable, detachable carrying strap.
Okay.
So that if if your handle on your or your strap on your purse wears out and you want to make a new one, you can. Or we have lots and lots of patterns that use straps made like this. So I'm working on an ultimate travel bag, and this is the strap that I've made for it. So I've prepared it like I showed you earlier. I made the fabric tube. I pulled my 1.5 inch, this one's a little wider, pulled my strapping in, stitched all the way around the outside edge, and now it's time to attach the hardware. So here's the tricks to doing this. First of all, your strap has a right side where you don't see any seams. The wrong side has seams in it. So we want to position it with the right side up. And I've marked some lines. The pattern has directed me to mark a line up from the bottom on the unseamed side and up from the bottom on the seamed side, which is a different measurement on each end. So I'm going to take one end, and it doesn't matter which end you take, but I've got 3 pieces of hardware. So I'm attaching a slider, which is used to adjust the length of the strap. And then I'm attaching 2 swivel hooks, and these are used so that you can attach the strap to your bag. So this lets you take it off. The nice thing about this is if you need to wash the bag, I always take this off and put it in a separate bag so it doesn't get all tangled up. So the first thing we're going to do is attach the slider. And when you look at the slider, I'm going to see if you can see this, you're going to notice that it kind of curves up at the top. If you have it right side up, it's curving up. If you have it wrong side up, it looks like a smile. I always say it looks like a frown if it's right side up. So you want to position that so that you've got the right side up, and you want to position your strap so that it has right side up too. So seams on the bottom. We're going to come up into the first hole from the bottom. We're going to go over that little bar that's in the middle of our slider. We're going to take our strap down through the other opening, and then we're going to bring the end of our strap even with the line that we marked earlier. And I'm just going to put a clip on here because I can't go sew this, but if you were making this yourself, you'd sew it. And here's my trick that I do on this. I find it kind of hard sometimes to keep everything lined up and get my needle right in the right position. So I usually put my needle down out here and I start stitching here. And that way I can hold my fingers here, make sure I've got everything even. And I stitch along here until I get to the line that I marked earlier. I stitch across that line, I pivot and come down here, I pivot and stitch across, which again makes my box. And then I do my X to make it strong, and then I finish stitching off here. So that attaches my slider. The next step is to attach our swivel hook. And so we're going to do these one at a time. The first one we're going to take, again, we've got our unseamed side of our strap up, and we're just holding the top of the swivel hook. We're just going to go into the opening there and then fold this over. The thing that you're going to notice is that this swivel hook never gets sewn in. This is the one that enables you to adjust it. So this just moves free and easy in here. So now we've got, once we fold this over, we've got our seam sides hidden on the inside, and we're just going to bring this down, let that go over there, and we're going to come back, and this obviously is going to be sewn in. There's not going to be a clip on there, but I'm going to bring this so that I don't have any twists in it. I've got my seam sides together, and I'm going to come up through the opening that's closest to me. So I'm coming up through the opening. I'm going back down over the bar and back down through the other opening. I'm pulling that through, and then I'm going to take my other swivel hook, insert my strapping through there. And again, I'm going to fold that over so that I'm going to the line that I marked. I'm going to put a little clip on here to hold this so you can see. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stitch my box, put my X in it, finish stitching it. And then I've got my adjustable strap ready to go. So I can make it long or short. I mean, this is about as short as it will go. Obviously, you're probably going to want it a lot longer. And then I use these clips to attach it. When I'm ready to adjust it, again, I just, take my strapping through here, and I can make it longer, and then this moves, you just move that to the end. But super simple and easy. So, if you need to replace a strap or a handle, that's a quick and easy way to do it.
Yes, Annie, that's awesome because, when you put so much time into making a bag, it's so great to know that if the handle wears out, that you can easily change it. So that is a wonderful tip because it makes you more encouraged to know, okay, I can really use this bag and yet I know how to replace it if I need to. So that's great. And the way you show the hardware, you make that look easy too. So thank you.
It really is easy. It's just, getting the hang of it. And we've got a lot of videos on our website that go into it. Unfortunately, those videos we filmed before we had good lighting and good equipment and stuff. And actually, when I made those, I had you put the handle in upside down so your seam wasn't totally hidden at the end when you folded it over. So watch for new videos coming out. And, any of our newer patterns, we've got 34 patterns coming out now that all have add-on videos. So we include that in some of those as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. A lot of the ladies are loving all of the tips and tricks that you've shown today. They're happy to know that there are videos that go with all of your patterns. And there's a couple of comments in here that say that they're really sad to know that next week is your last week. But I'd like to tell everybody that hopefully we could get Annie to come back in the future. So we will have many other inspired by. We're hoping to inspire you with other collaborators that we team with within the quilting and sewing industry, and we're hoping to interest everybody in other aspects of sewing. But we would love to have Annie back. So Annie, anytime you want, just get in touch with us and we'll squeeze you in because we'd love to have you. Again, welcome to our Inspired by series. This is week 4. The first week, Annie had shown us a trunk show with all the FreeSpirit fabrics. Then we went on to colorful coordinates where Annie showed us how to coordinate our fabrics and accessories. Last week we did zippers are easy, and this week we're doing carry on, and Annie's showing us how to do handles. So if you want to go back and look at any of those videos, they are all on our Facebook. So you can go there to look at them and review them again. And you can also go to byannie.com and you can see she has many, many patterns, and she also has videos that goes with her patterns. So you can get all the information you're looking for. We have a lot of people who are commenting on this live stream, trying to answer all your questions as best we can. And I just want to see if there's anything. Love the patterns. Elizabeth Smith has made 7 of your bags so far, Annie. So let me see. Great tips from Irene. And Denise Gilbertson, she loves the add-on videos. Great demo. Keep it up. That's from Diana Smith. So everyone's enjoying everything that they're seeing. And so Annie, I would like to turn it back to you so that you can show us this next wonderful bag that I get to see in Sue Penn. I see it already in Sue Penn's beautiful collection, Garden Brighter.
Okay, do you think, Sharon, that we have time to talk about the magnets, or should we save that for next time?
I think we should probably save it for the next time.
Okay, I think we should save it. And if we don't get to it next time, we'll make sure we do another Facebook Live at some point. There's some little tricks to putting in magnets, but it takes a few minutes to describe. And we still need to talk about prizes. So I think
We
that's where
do.
we should go next, is say thank you to everybody for joining us today. Thank you for joining us for all of this series. We have really, really had fun doing this. And it's been a good motivation for me to have something to do every day, trying to prepare for these. I've learned it's a fair amount of work getting this ready. But today we've got 3 different giveaways, and they all feature hardware. I wanted to show you this bag because I hadn't brought it up yet. This is, again, our ultimate travel bag, but this is going to be released soon as a 2.0 version. We've made a couple changes to the pattern. Primarily, we added a trolley sleeve on the back so that the bag can be hooked over the handles on your rolling luggage. And this pattern will probably not be available until July. We'll release it probably in July. We still have to film the videos that go with it. But we do have the ultimate travel bag available, and it's very, very similar. So if you really want to make this now, get that pattern. Otherwise, wait for the new one to come out. But this is a fabric called Light in the Forest by Sue Penn, and we just fell in love with it. I especially love these stripes that we used on the borders and the handles. It's just so fun and eye-catching. But our prizes this week, we've got 3 different ones. I'm going to start with Take a Stand. So some lucky person is going to win the pattern for Take a Stand, and I guess I should grab one of those so you can see what it looks like. I have to think where they are. Here is one of them. So the Take a Stand pattern comes in 2 sizes. The small one is made that you can drape your running with scissors over it and use it to kind of hold that and keep it standing up. It includes a carrying strap that obviously you can take off, and it hooks on each side. And the pattern also includes a large size as well. So we in the pattern are in the giveaway are giving you the supplies to make the small one. So we've got a package, a 6-yard package of strapping. We've got hardware in antique brass to make the handles or the detachable strap, and then we have the pattern. So I can't wait to see what fabric you're putting with this one, Sharon.
Well, we are giving away this fabric here to go with that beautiful pattern. So Take a Stand. This is Spirit of the Garden, and this is fabric that is made from, the designer is Kelly Mae Krenz, and this fabric is shipping this month into quilt shops now. So it's very, very pretty fabric. And Annie, I'd like to thank you for properly saying which collection that bag is from with Sue Penn. I said the wrong collection, so I'm glad that you got it right with Light in the Forest. So
Say that
the
again?
question,
What did I miss?
no, you said the correct collection. I said Garden Brighter and you said Light in the Forest, and you're right. But Sue Penn has many beautiful collections, so any one of them would be great in that bag. But that bag is actually made with Light in the Forest, so thank you. Now, if you'd like to win this week, the question is, what is your favorite color of handbag hardware? Antique, brass, or nickel? Or are you a one color person only? Meaning, do you prefer just brass or just nickel? So please let us know, and you could be the winner. There are going to be one of 3 prizes that you can win, and we had just shown you the first one, which was Take a Stand, and the next one, if Annie is almost ready, she can show us. You're ready? All right, so Annie's going to show us what you get with Bowl Me Over.
All right, so the next pattern that we're going to do is Bowl Me Over. This is the bag that I love to carry when I'm running around town. It's just the right size to hold everything I need and nothing else. So it's got a strap that you can make adjustable to wear it crossbody. If you don't want to add this strap, you can leave that off entirely and make these handles longer. So it's got instructions for both of those versions, but we assume that you're going to want to make it. So we've got the pattern, we've got the hardware. It doesn't need very much strapping. So this is a 3-yard package of strapping. And then we also included the magnets that you will use for this little flap that closes on the front.
That's awesome. Thank you, Annie. So here are the fabrics that we will be shipping with that pattern. So this is Snow Leopard. This is by Philip Jacobs. And look at these koi, these beautiful koi fish. And then there's a little bit of swirl for the water, and then some fabric that looks like the fins of the fish. So your Bow Me Over bag will be quite beautiful with all of these fabrics. These fabrics are shipping to quilt stores this month, in the month of May. And again, if you would like to win for this week, the question is, what is your favorite color of handbag hardware, antique brass or nickel? And are you a one color only person, or do you like to mix it up? And so now Annie is showing us our third prize for this week.
Yes, this is probably my favorite pattern of all. I've made so many of these, and as you can see, this just holds every single thing that you need, and probably a few things you don't need, but it makes it easy to grab it and move it from room to room. This is called Catch-All Caddy, and it has the padded handles that I showed you how to make using the soft and stable, which are then attached to the tabs, which attach to your bag. So for that, you need just 4 rectangle rings. And I'm showing these in nickel, but my screen says that they're antique brass. So whatever color works best with the fabric is what we sent you. Then we've got the Catch-All Caddy pattern, and this one only needs a little bit of strapping. The strapping, you may wonder, where do you use strapping in here? This is soft and stable here, but the part that's attached to the bag where the rectangle rings are attached, that's where the strapping is. And it's really important that you put that strapping in there, because otherwise your handles are going to twist and turn on here if you don't have it. So that's where you use the strapping. And actually this pattern uses 1.5 inch. So I'm sure we sent you the 1.5 inch strapping to go with that. So I can't wait to see everybody's comments and look forward to seeing who gets to win that next week.
I know. Let me show them the fabric for that one. So this is Tim Holtz. I got to show it the right way. Look at this. This is great for any sewer. You can see the ladies on here. I wish I could open it up a little bit better for you. Gorgeous fabric. This is from Memoranda, his Memoranda collection. And then we have this one to go with it. You can see that. And then some of his provisions to go with it. So Annie sent along all of the hardware and the strapping and the pattern. And that's for the Catch-All Caddy. And again, the question is, what is your favorite color of handbag hardware? Antique brass or nickel? And are you a one color person, or do you like to mix it up? So we will be selecting winners when you answer those questions for us. So Annie, thank you so much for joining us again. I'm feeling sad too, knowing that next week is going to be our last week, but it's only temporary, I know. We'll have you back in the future because we all love you so much.
I will look forward to that. I would love to make this a regular occurrence. Thank you so much.
Yes,
it's been really fun. Next week, we're going to talk about bindings, which is something that people, it's one of the things that people seem to have a ton of questions about. So I've got some really good tips to share. So I will look forward to seeing everybody next week. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you, Annie. And we have received wonderful tips every week. So we thank you for that. I'm looking forward to what the tips are next week for the bindings. And this week was fantastic. So thank you so much. I'd just like to remind viewers that we are Free Spirit Fabrics, and you can find us at freespiritfabrics.com if you'd like to take a look at our website to see what we have for fabrics. All of Annie's beautiful samples that she had in the background are made from all Free Spirit fabrics, and they can be found at your local quilt shop. So please reach out to your local quilt shop. Any of the patterns or any of the notions of the tools or anything that you need to make these bags, you can find on byannie.com on her website. These videos will be up to view from the beginning to end. So if you would like to go back and I'm making up words as I go. If you'd like to view them again, please go to our Facebook, excuse me?
Review.
Yeah, review them. Please go to our Facebook page and take a look. And if you have any questions, Annie and her team will be answering questions. The Free Spirit team is answering questions as well. And we thank you for joining. And please join us next week again for beautiful bindings. And until then, thank you, Annie. And we're looking forward to seeing you again. And thank you, viewers, for joining in. Have a great week. And until next week, which is the 21st, keep on sewing. Thank you, Annie.
Thanks so much, everyone. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.